Welcome to Sober Talk. I'm Dennis and I'm an alcoholic. Sober today thanks to Alcoholics Anonymous. If you or anyone you know is struggling with alcohol, please call Alcoholics Anonymous on 1300 222222 or visit their website at aa.org.au. I'll just run through the preamble of Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problems and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for a membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. It is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses or opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety.
It's my pleasure to present our speaker tonight, who's Paul. Over to you, Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Sire. Yeah, my name's Paul. I'm an alcoholic. Thanks, Sam, for inviting me, and thanks for reading that, Di. I haven't read that or heard that for a long time. It hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Yeah, we're undisciplined. I never thought I was undisciplined. I did a stint in the Navy for a while, but I'm disciplined. I can follow orders. It's easy to follow orders when someone's yelling in your ear, telling you what to do. Left to my own devices, I am undisciplined. So anyway, yeah, Paul, and I'm an alcoholic, and I guess I grew up in an alcohol-affected family. My dad left when I was really early. I didn't remember him. I don't know if he was an alcoholic or not, but Mum said he had a bit of a drinking problem, and he got angry when he got drunk, and so he left. And I hated his guts for that. Geez, I didn't. The resentment festered for many years, and and for many years later in sobriety, I actually met up with him. It's a bit ironic, and I met him before he died, and I think somewhere along the line in recovery, the penny dropped that, he was a sick bloke. Whether he was an alcoholic or not, I don't know, but I think it's fair to say he was a sick bloke. And the other thing that penny dropped is I think he did me a favour by leaving, because I've heard some horrific stories about parents that stuck around as practicing alcoholics, so no, I think he did me a favour by leaving. But it was, obviously good to see him before he died, and he had a bit of brain damage. I think I'm no doctor, but I think the booze knocked him around a bit. Don't have to be psychiatrist to work that out. So anyway, where am I overshot? Yeah, booze. Like I said, I grew up in an alcohol-affected place. I was a bit of a mummy's boy. I remember at school, I didn't like going on school camps because I was away from mum. So I'd always make up reasons I couldn't go, and all that. This is, 13, 14. And then sort of somewhere along the line, booze comes along. It's probably around 15 or 16. And before you know it, I signed up and joined the Navy. I've moved interstate. I'm gone from a kid who wouldn't go on a school camp to moving interstate. I had to sign up for, 6 years or something, but I never really thought about it too much at the time, but in recovery, I thought about it. How did that happen? Alcohol really is empowering. It says in the big book, doesn't it? It's empowering, this stuff. I would never have done it if booze hadn't come along. So off I went, because I grew up in a small country town, and I was blacking out right from the start. Right from the start, I was an alcoholic. Alcoholism didn't creep up on me. It was right from the start, and but it was always going to be, the next time was going to be different. I loved the initial effects of alcohol. Booze went in and reality went out the door, so I just loved it. Become taller, thinner, funnier. Why wouldn't you drink this stuff, I loved just about the start of every drinking session, I reckon, but I was a regular blackout drinker. Not every time I drank did it end in disaster, but my drinking's a bit like that big wheel at the casino, spin it up and see what's going to happen, And because I never knew. I'd take that first drink, and I don't know what's going to happen. And sometimes it was horrific, and sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it was in between. But booze beat me. There's no two ways about that. So I joined the Navy. My first geographical, I didn't realise that at the time, but, I thought I'm going to leave this small country town I grew up in because it's not big enough for me and my ego. I'm going to go out and make my mark in the world and I don't know. I really don't know why I joined up. It was just time to go, I think, just time to leave. And, and I got into strife right from the start, blackout drinker and, right from the start. My first posting from recruit school was just down the road from King's Cross. I would have been about 17 or 18, practicing alcoholic, just down the road from King's Cross. What could go wrong? I mean, honestly, I don't know how I ended up in Alcoholics Anonymous because, it was unbelievable. Looking for love in King's Cross, and anyway, it's there's not a lot of mercy in King's Cross and forgiveness and all that kind of stuff, So, and then I thought if I could just get out of King's Cross, I'll be all right, It's because of King's Cross I drink your way on too. So I got posted to Western Sydney, and took me with me unchanged, and there's no happy story for a practicing alcoholic, But it's the same, next time we did different. Next time we did different. It was someone else's fault, Got myself into so much strife. When I was posted at King's Cross, I was given an ultimatum if I went to the service rehab in Sydney, things might look a bit better. I knew I had a drinking problem. That was painfully obvious. So I went to the rehab and in Western Sydney, and that's where I was first introduced to AA. I didn't. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I knew I had a drinking problem, but I was probably 18 or 19, and when you're 18 or 19 and you got a disease that tells you haven't got it, next time we're different, you're just unlucky. It's as I've heard in these rooms, you're up against a stacked deck, and I guess I just hadn't felt enough pain. So I actually hung around AA. I got kicked out of that rehab, but it did plant the seed for AA, That doesn't guarantee that seed's going to be, is going to grow, but at least I was aware that AA existed. I think I did a couple of meetings in King's Cross, and but I guess I didn't want what was on offer. At 18 or 19, I felt I was missing out on the good times. They'd gone, So for me, I've turned my back on AA twice, and I paid the price each time. Pain's my number one motivator. The pain of being a practicing alcoholic, that's what got me here. And if I'm not living right, the pain of not living right will push me back towards those steps. I eventually got posted over to WA, and I thought, oh, great, I'm out of New South Wales. I'll be all right now. It's unbelievable, this disease. It is so powerful, so powerful. So cunning, baffling, and powerful. Got over to, WA, got posted to my first ship and, around Australia and all other places, and just, as a practicing alcoholic, all hell breaks loose. So I think I got out of the Navy just before they kicked me out, but I read some of my old records and now I'm not so sure, but it doesn't matter. The thing is, I got out of the Navy and alive, so that was a good start. And, the irony is I got out of the Navy and go back home, go back home to where it all started. It was the Navy's fault, that's why I drank. I'm back home now, everything will be all right. I'll be able to drink like a gentleman and safely in this small country town. And, surprise, surprise, it just, booze beat me, more pain. Yeah. Last drink in a small, at least I found when I was as a practicing alcoholic in the city, there's a degree of anonymity, but in a small town, as a blackout drinker, everybody knows your business. It was unbelievable. People knew what I was doing before I did. And, that's what got me back to AA. The guilt, shame, and the remorse, oh, I've done it again. Bloody disease. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. You'll be right. The next time we're different. But I was beaten. I was in a small country town, made a complete mess of myself. Had an ex-girlfriend who said never wanted to see you again. I knew that because my mum told me. I was just about to get thrown in the back of a paddy wagon, and somehow she convinced the policeman not to do it. And So I don't know. She must have drove me home, and yeah, she said the next day she never wants to see you again. So it's pretty hard to make amends to someone who never wants to see you again. I think it was a year later in recovery. I asked someone about it. So they said just write a letter. I had a rough idea what the address was, so I just put the address on there, asked for forgiveness, and I don't know. I don't even know if she got it, but I guess that's the best I could do. I did my part. When someone says I never want to see you again, there's no grey areas there, really, is there? So that's the way it is. I can't save my skin at someone else's expense. So yeah, back to AA on York Peninsula for the third time. My first meeting was at Urania. I don't know if anyone's been there before, but it's not a town. It's just a little place. There's about 4 tennis courts, a rainwater tank, and a church, and they were holding meetings there every pension fortnight at all. They'd hold meetings there, and I remember I was sitting in the car, really nervous, really, really nervous. It's in the middle of nowhere. I was just about to get out the car to walk in, and stuff me, this car out of nowhere comes along, and I thought, oh, I can't let anyone know I'm going to an AA meeting. So I just waited in the car. It's funny, as a practicing alcoholic, everyone knows you're an alcoholic, but yeah, geez, you don't want anyone to know you're going to AA. Anyway, it's unbelievable. But anyway, and that's where the journey started. I remember the first meeting, there was a bloke called Fisherman Alf, and he said, try and accept AA with childlike faith, and childlike I could do that. I was 25, I reckon, emotionally still 15, 16, from the first drink, and childlike I could do. And for about probably the first 12 months, that's what I was doing. We did, on the peninsula, we had 3 meetings a fortnight, I think. And that's what I did. I just go to meetings, and I moved to the city, and it was about 2.5 years in, and I had to do something about that program on the wall. Like I mentioned before, about the pain of untreated alcoholism, I guess. I mean, it's so important. Get to a meeting and stay to a meeting, but I just got to that stage where I had to do a bit more than just put my seat on a seat. And because there was a guy who came in maybe a couple of months after me, I'm not really sure, and I could see him getting well, and I saw him pretty much when he first came in, and he was really angry, and he'd share about it all the time. He was really one angry bloke, and I don't know, I hadn't seen him for a while. I saw him at a meeting or something, and he's no saint or anything, but to tell you what, that anger had really subsided a bit. I said, what have you been doing? What's going on? He said, well, what he told me, he said he started going to church. And I thought, great. If anyone can remember Bordertown Eric, he was doing the steps at a church. He was doing stepping stones, and he had an office in the church. And so this guy was doing the steps with Bordertown Eric and going to the church on Sunday. I'll never forget that. Oh, I'm going to church. I'm not that bad. I'm not feeling that much pain. But that, pain, like I said before, the number one motivator is pain. So I went to see Bordertown Eric, and that's where sort of the road to recovery sort of moved on from just going to meetings. But like I said, it's so important, meetings. But like, if I wasn't going to meetings, I wouldn't have met this bloke. You know what I mean? It all starts with meetings. That's where it starts, and the journey continues. And yeah, so got rid of a lot of guilt and shame, through those steps, and that's freeing. When I was in the Navy, and I was always getting charged. You'd go up, and they have their own little court system, and guilty as charged. How do you plead? Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. DUI, guilty as charged. All that kind of stuff, and then you share with another human being some of the stuff you don't want to share. And he says, you're not guilty. Whew, hallelujah. How good is that? So that was good. So that's a start. And, but it's still one day at a time, And from there, I actually met my wife at that church. And, I don't resent that church. I've moved on, but no, it's all good. I used to be. I remember a lot whinging about being single in early recovery, and then somewhere along the line I got married, and then you got to be careful what I complain about, because I learn a lot about myself when you live with another human being, and that other human being had 2 little daughters with her too. So I'm the kind of guy who likes his own space. So when you sort of get married and there's 2 kids there, that space is really diminishing. So it's about, growing up in recovery. Yeah. It's funny, from those 2 little kids, I got two grandchildren, and I was nursing one of them a couple of days ago. When I come in, I'm single and about 25, and now I got 4 kids and 2 grandchildren, and so it's just an unbelievable journey. I forget that kind of stuff. Gratitude's not my strong point. It really isn't. If I can, I usually complain about the things that I don't have, but if I can whack a bit of gratitude into my life, I run a lot better. So yeah, it just life happens. Just life happens. Kids and grandkids and like that said, God's will, not my will. Self will run right. That is still my problem. My ability to board that plane to Fantasy Island is so, if the checkout girl says hello to me, well, that's it. I'm in love. And that's all right if you're single, but when you've been married for about 25 years, it's probably not a good. Is this thing on? This isn't. It's probably not a strong sign of mental health. So it's, undisciplined. That's me. So I need this program to discipline me. For an hour and a half of meetings, I'm safe. This is the safest place for me in the world, isn't it? And I used to think for an hour and a half, I'm safe from out there, which I am to a degree. But more importantly, I'm safe from myself. For an hour and a half, I'm safe from this bloke here. He's undisciplined, ungrateful, you name it. So I come here, I get a bit of gratitude, I get to live another day, one day at a time, and how fortunate it is unbelievable. It's unbelievable what life has on offer if I'm not drinking one day at a time and try and put that program into my life. And that's what it said, God's will, not mine. My will. Getting what I want is not the best thing for me. I think it is, but it ain't. It ain't. No way in the world. So, yeah. Just life's good. Because of AA, I give blood now, and that, and that's probably no big deal, but for me it's good. And normally you get a message. What do? You get a message from the blood bank, and they tell you where it goes, and that's good. And I got a message last time that said your blood's going to Sydney, New South Wales. I thought, how good's that? So that's good. That's all because of AA. No, life's good. But that disease is still there, cunning, baffling, and powerful, without a doubt, cunning, baffling, and powerful. And I often don't, I knew cunning wasn't a compliment, and I've heard, Eddie and other people say, if you don't know what a bloody word means, why don't you just look it up? So I looked it up, and one of the definitions, the one that stood out for me is skilled in the art of deceit. I thought that's what I got. I got a disease that is skilled in the art of deceit, that'll lie to me, lie and steal. So that's what I got. And so I'm aware of that today. So it's never over. It's life on life's terms. But, I'm an extremely fortunate alcoholic. And God, as I understand it, doesn't give me unlimited opportunities of sobriety. I don't think that's fear. That's just reality. That's not having a hateful, vengeful God. It's just, I play Russian roulette one too many times and my number comes up. That's just the way it is, That's just the way it is. So I want to live, and it's because of you people. You people saved my life. AA saved my life one day at a time. And I'll leave it at that. Thanks, Di. Thanks. Thank you.
AA has more than 2 million recovering alcoholics throughout the world. In Australia, there are about 18,000 members. They meet in over 2,000 local meetings spread around the country. Meetings range in size from a handful in some areas to hundreds or more in larger communities. And once again, if anyone you know is struggling with alcohol issues, please call Alcoholics Anonymous in 1300 222222 or visit their website on aa.org.au.